You know, before actually getting into my usual stuff, I have to be honest here for a second. Going into this episode, I have very, very specific preconceived notions of what this episode was going to be like. I was going into this episode ready to hate it. I thought it was going to be complete trash. I thought it was going to be a complete slaughterhouse. I was ready to get on Twitter and be very, very arrogant and just say, haha, screw you, Vegeta fans. Vegeta lost. I really was going to be a douchebag. I was going to be very passive-aggressive. But yeah, I actually saw this episode, and I liked it so much, not only just because it was a pretty decent episode, but I actually am sitting here making a freaking review over it. Something that I was not going to do originally. So yeah, I guess the joke's on me. Yeah. Ugh. God. Damn it. Oh my god, my head hurts so much. Hello everybody, Chalk12 back here again with a brand new video, and today I'm here with my official review for Dragon Ball Super episode 128 titled Noble Pride to the End, Vegeta Falls. If you've not seen this episode, please check it out because this review will contain spoilers. So with that being said, let's get on with the episode at hand. Overall, this is an episode, as I stated in the beginning of this video, that I had zero interest in checking out. I really didn't have that much of an interest in watching this episode because I just felt like it was going to be another typical writers wanking off to Vegeta and overrating him so that majority of all the Vegeta fangirls across the universe can get on Twitter and make tweets on how much they love Vegeta with a little, sad face and a little broken heart emoji. That's basically what I thought would end up happening. And it's probably, hell, there's probably like 12,000 tweets on that already as we speak. It also, my biggest fear going into the episode was that it would also be an incredibly repetitive and predictable episode. And even though there are certain predictabilities within episode 128, it's a much more well-crafted episode than I ever thought I would be even giving credit towards. It's really interesting. This episode is essentially Vegeta's last swan song, if you will. This is pretty much his send-off for the majority of the series. We don't really know what Toymation has left after March. We obviously know what the movie's going to be, but we don't know exactly what the story's going to contain. And we don't know if Toymation's going to do another series. I've already gone into my personal thoughts on all these kind of topics, so I don't want to get into it here. However, for the context of Super, this is pretty much the last moment we'll get of Vegeta doing something impressive. So, for an episode that's pretty much going to be the send-off for this character for the remainder of the series, for X amount of time, this is an episode where you had to bring it. You had to do something incredibly impressive. And they did a pretty decent job. I really did not expect much. It's really well made and it's really interesting. And I like the fact that this episode, instead of it just being a complete wank session on Vegeta's character, it's more or less a parallel between his characterization, Goku's characterization, and Jiren's, believe it or not, and how they skew in different directions. And when they do something right, I have to give them props for that. And they did something incredible with this episode, which is giving Vegeta an amazing send-off, yet keeping him true to his warrior roots, not to mention giving him an amazing treatment of a true warrior's end, and also giving him something to fight for that's deeper than just, hey, my pride, hey, my strength, hey, I'm better than Kakaroto. No, it's more or less, hey, I'm fighting for my family, I'm fighting for this twink that I found in a different universe. I'm fighting for things. So I have to appreciate that. And plus, just the amount of respect that was done towards the character and his fight and his brutalization, it was really, really cool. So I have to give them that. I have to give Vegeta his due, his respects, his just goods, if you will. And I have to say, good job, sir. You've done well. With that being said, if there's anything that I really hated is that there's a pacing issue with this episode. That's really the biggest issue that I have, is that everything that happened in this episode I felt like could have been done very much quicker. There's specific portions where the episodes kind of just become incredibly repetitive, where we're getting the same thing done again and again. Vegeta could have gotten some emotional gravitas a little quicker. You know, Jiren could have taken him out a little quicker. You know, Goku could have done his thing a little quicker. So that was something that I really found as a major negative towards this episode. And it has a lot to do especially with Vegeta's moments. However, I really enjoyed them. Vegeta is struggling. He's desperately struggling to handle himself against Jiren. This is pretty much the end of his character. Jiren is obliterating Vegeta in the beginning half of this episode. And then we transition to Goku's portion of the episode where he has the same specific issues. And even though Vegeta and Goku have the same situations, they deviate in different directions, which I appreciate. And also can come off as a little predictable, but it's done well. I'm not in the position where I want to bash it for doing that. I have to give them, the writers in this episode, a little bit more credit as well, is that they did it well in a way that I just didn't... It's hard to explain because this episode is simplistic. It has action, but it's dull and it's boring. The action is not the focus of the episode. The focus of the episode are the characters' dynamics and how they deviate... excuse me, and how they basically deviate from one another. You know, Jiren has trust issues. This is something that's established in the previous episode. And then you have Vegeta, and especially Vegeta, but Vegeta and Goku, where they attack Jiren on a more personal level, where it's like, having trust in other people is what has given us the opportunity to be in the position they're in. It's kind of taken away from the Vegeta-Topo fight, where Topo had to give away what made him him, to become a God Destruction level. Vegeta didn't do that. He embraced who he is. And even though it's a little sketchy the way they executed in that episode, I feel like it's better in this episode. We had a lot of interesting moments where we had throwbacks to previous moments in the series. Vegeta mentoring Kabe in the Universe 6 saga. Vegeta making his promise to Kabe in this arc. Not to mention some more interesting moments with Bulma. Bulma had a lot of inner monologues with Vegeta in this episode, and I really like that. Hiromi Sudo, honestly, will always be beloved and will always be remembered and will always be missed. This episode and Vegeta's fall was heading towards a specific trajectory, which was kind of similar to the Namek saga, where Vegeta was in tears when Frieza was obliterating him on a physical and psychological level. On this side, they have this moment where they really want to pull on your heartstrings by saying, hey, here's Hiromi Sudo. It also makes me beg the question, which is, considering that Toei Animation have officially recasted Hiromi Sudo with a different voice actress, which will continue to voice the character Bulma moving forward with the franchise, I really want to know, will she have a debut in this show? And why wasn't it this episode? I don't know, I just find it interesting that, are they just trying to end off the show on a high note, which is using Hiromi Sudo, or do they have plans on bringing on the new voice actress at the finale episode of this arc, and then move on with that voice actress for the remainder of the series, whether it be with the movies, a new show, you know, so on and so forth. I don't know, that's an interesting question I'd like to see answered very soon, because it's very much intriguing to me. But regardless of any of that, Vegeta does indeed lose in this episode, as the title references. Honestly, it doesn't really hurt me that much. I really didn't see Vegeta winning this tournament. I know a lot of people really wanted that. For me personally, I never really expected him to win, and I kind of felt like he should have lost weeks ago, or at least episodes ago, in my opinion. Not to say that I actually wanted Goku to win. I do now, but originally I never really wanted Goku to win either, so I don't want to have any kind of confusion there. But regardless of any of that, I did like what Vegeta accomplished in this episode, and I really thought he had an amazing moment passing the baton to Goku. I really liked that. Him giving his last bit of energy was a really nice cherry on top to Vegeta's moment in this arc, and in this series as a whole. Vegeta did a lot of really great things. From episode 122 all the way to now, he's had consistent amazing moments. You know, in episode 122, when his original fight with Jiren, he did an honorable job. It also helps when you have Takahashi working on your episode, so that did a phenomenal job. He got an entirely new form that's completely his own. He defeated Topo, which is God Destruction level. So Vegeta had, from 122 to now, his own mini movie. You know, everything that happened for Vegeta from then to now is his own movie. So yeah, I don't really view it as Vegeta got shafted or Vegeta got fucked over in this episode. I really view it as Vegeta had pretty much one of the most interesting and compelling arcs in all of the saga, so there's not really much to take away from on a negative standpoint, at least in my opinion. And that's coming from a non-hardcore Vegeta fan. And of course it transitions from Vegeta and Jiren to Goku and Jiren. Unfortunately, Jiren is still the tank that he is. He's still the Terminator, and he's just obliterating the crap out of Goku. Goku has no real inch in defeating Jiren in the process of this fight. It's just a complete slaughterhouse. And as the fight continues, there's not really anything that impressive. Like I said earlier, the fighting in this episode is not the point. The point is the narrative between Vegeta and Goku and Jiren. But the fight itself, I thought was kind of... It's not that it sucked, is that, like I said, things get in this episode a little too repetitive. And we come into the second biggest thing that I really didn't like in this episode. The first being pacing, the second being repetitive shots being done again and again and again. I felt like I was watching the same thing happen again. And I guess that's basically what the narrative was trying to go for, which is Vegeta was getting pounded into oblivion. He tried to get a comeback and then lost, and he was thrown out of the arena. The same thing happens with Goku. Goku gets a little comeback, he fights Jiren, gets obliterated, gets tossed over the arena, but instead, of course, he has this comeback, which is the return of Ultra Instinct. However, the process of getting there was so annoying because it was so slowly paced, and second, it just felt like the same shots again and again. The action is a little bit more technical. The only problem is that there's no emphasis on technical prowess. The fighting and the action between Jiren and Goku, or even Vegeta and Jiren, is that it's because it's so one-sided with Jiren just obliterating these two characters that everything feels like a button mash. Like, it's just a lot of button smashing like you do in like a video game where it's just like non-stop like just non-stop like 10k hits. It's just nothing that impressive. And it just becomes really annoying. And that's one of the biggest things outside of the pacing that really bothered me in this episode. Everything else I like. But man, the pacing of the episode and the reusing of shots really bugged me in this episode. I really felt like to make this episode a perfect 10, you really, and I know I'm kind of spoiling my final verdict here, but this episode could have been a perfect 10, but it's not. It's good, it's really good, but if it looked better and just was a little quicker and to the point and a little bit more direct and a little less vague and subtle, oh my god, this episode would have been so good. It would have been way perfect. I would have been right up there with all the Vegeta fangirls saying, emoji, sad emoji. But, it just kind of dragged on a little for my taste, and I just feel like this episode could have been ended a little quicker and gotten to the point a little faster. Jiren took down Vegeta, and he's ready to take down Goku and win this tournament of power. Unfortunately, they forget to hint at Frieza's existence, but yeah, Frieza's still in this tournament, but it's really not that important in this episode, nor is it really acknowledged, so it's not important to talk about in this review. Jiren is just ready to win this tournament, and he's obliterating the crap out of Goku, and right after he gets his final punch at him, that's when we get the return of Ultra Instinct, and my god, was it amazing. Goku gets the best punch, although there's been a lot of great punches, not in Jiren's favor, mind you, but Goku does indeed get probably one of the best punches that everyone's gotten in the tournament, which is basically like, 10 minutes of actual fighting time. But in the context of this series, the best punch in Jiren's gut. My god, was it amazing. Jiren's reaction is priceless. It's really great. And that's pretty much the end of the episode. There's some more dialogue, but pretty much by the time Goku gets his one good punch at Jiren, the episode just turns into a standoff, and the majority of the rest of the characters going, that thing, Ultra Instinct, that's pretty much it. That's the remainder of the episode. It's really irrelevant. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode. It's not perfect. It's not, a solid 10. But my final verdict, if I had to give it right now, is a solid 8 out of 10. It's a great episode. I would go as far as to say it is a great episode. It's not perfect, it's not amazing, but it is great. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed. Please comment below your personal thoughts on this episode. There's a lot of things in the horizon coming with Dragon Ball Super that I'm very excited for. And of course, we got a little preview of the next episode, which is giving us... And we also got spoiled, let's be honest here, we also got spoiled earlier today with the reveal of Mastered Ultra Instinct. And my god, wow. They took Ultra Instinct and they basically did what every fanboy has been doing since the early mid-2000s, since the ending of GT, which is giving us Super Saiyan Silver. I don't know what the heck they were thinking. I don't know what Akira Toriyama was really smoking, but it's not a good idea. However, excuse me. However, I will say this. The preview gives me hope. I may have bashed it on Twitter, but the preview for the next episode is giving me freaking hope, folks, that this new mastered form of Ultra Instinct could be really cool and epic. I want to hold off my official final opinions until that episode premieres. So let's just leave it at that. I'm very, very intrigued. Toei Animation, they just don't give a fuck, do they? They're like, hey, it's the finale, folks. Let's give, tribal tattoos to Topo. Let's give Vegeta sparkles. Let's get, Goku silver hair. Who cares? Come on, let's get crazy. My God, I know it's the ending, folks, but let's not get too crazy. Let's not get too fan servicey. But yeah, overall, like I said, this episode was great. Episode 128 was an amazing feat. It was an amazing send-off for Vegeta. Great to hear Hiromi Sudo's voice again, even though it was a pre-recording. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed. Comment below. Let me know what you personally thought about episode 128. And go and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate that. I'm very much thankful for anybody who goes and subscribes. And I hope you enjoyed. This has been Charge12, and I'll see you all next time.